All right, we're doing this again because I feel like we kind of have to, don't we? Today we are talking about what Elliotte Friedman said on, what was the program? NHL Network? Yeah, that's what it was. NHL Network in regards to current free agent and NHL superstar of the past, Patrick Kane. Now, superstar of the past, yeah, that kind of rubs off the wrong way on the tongue, I would say. But still, Patrick Kane has been coming off a hip surgery. He has been recovering, and when it comes to the services that he could provide, there still is a good amount of NHL scoring prowess that is present in his game. Kane, as everybody is familiar with, is one of the best American hockey players of all time, and when he is playing with a guy like Alex DeBrincat, for example, magic happens out there on the ice. We've talked about teams like the New York Rangers, we've talked about the Toronto Maple Leafs, we've talked about a bunch of stuff, and when it comes to what Friedman said the other day on the show, we have ourselves what is, dare I say, the final countdown, I guess? I mean, there's always a chance that some third or fourth, extra team could swoop in there and just steal everybody away, grab Patrick Kane and make things all about them. But this is our update. These are what appears to be the final three teams that are involved, and it all comes to us via Frege on the program. Here's a tweet made by NHL watcher Elliotte Friedman on NHL Network. Says he believes that Florida, Detroit, and Buffalo are the three leading contenders for Patrick Kane. The teams that I consistently hear about are Eastern teams. I think there is a concern about what the West and travel will do to him. I think there are teams in the West that are interested, though. So here's the thing. This is a very simple video right here. We don't need to get too deep. But when it comes to these three teams, we have heard some sort of speculation for and against on all of these sides. In particularly, I'm thinking about Buffalo, mostly because last we had heard from Darren Dreger, the idea that Tage Thompson was going to be injured was apparently such a big deal that it might have actually deterred Patrick Kane from wanting to sign with the Sabres. That was a few days ago, we made that video, but the thing is, with Kane being a hometown Buffalo Sabres guy, with him growing up in the area, with him having his roots there, and with the Buffalo fans also kind of clamoring that they would want him too, I mean, look, it's a match made in heaven if you wanted to talk about just who he is and where he's from, but we did hear that there was some sort of a roadblock because of that Tage Thompson injury. Who knows if Patrick Kane would be willing to sign with a team like that, wherein their top star player is going to be out for a few weeks. If he does sign, then hey, okay, that's great. It's good for him for sticking around and being faithful to his roots. That's something I'm sure a lot of Buffalo Sabres fans and maybe even NHL fans just in general would appreciate. So for Buffalo, there is a really interesting conversation that says that, hey, if he signs there, he would be kind of sticking it to the man and saying to Darren Dreger, hey, what you said was wrong, because your report that I wouldn't want to sign here because of the Tage Thompson injury, yeah, I'm going to go out there and contradict that. Who knows, maybe Patrick Kane decides to go elsewhere and does not sign with his hometown team because of that injury, but either way, that was the last we had heard about Kane and the Sabres up until today. Let's also talk about the Florida Panthers, because as we have talked about in prior videos too, the Panthers are in a pretty interesting spot. This is a quiet team. They're still winning games. They're doing their thing. They're putting themselves in positions to win. They're second in the Atlantic Division right now with 25 points. Better than Toronto, better than a whole bunch of other teams. In fact, if you go over to the NHL in general, Florida is a top 7 team at the moment. So the Panthers have been cooking. And they just got Aaron Ekblad and Brandon Montour back. So this is a team that's getting even better. We had seen that Patrick Kane has some ties to Bill Zito, which is why there is an apparent interest there. And when it comes to each of these three destinations, I mean, I feel like most people would instinctively say that out of Detroit, Buffalo, and Florida, they'd want to go to Florida. For obvious reasons, right? So the fact that the Florida Panthers have had a pretty good time attracting free agents and attracting top talent in the past. Matthew Tkachuk was willing to go here. You have all these other guys that sign once in a while in free agency. The fact that Florida is Florida makes it easy to understand why a guy like Patrick Kane would be interested in going there. Also, the ties that he has to Bill Zito, it definitely makes things a lot easier. So when it comes to what this Florida Panthers team could be like with a Patrick Kane in the lineup, hey, there's a lot of flexibility that you could go out there with when you have Matthew Tkachuk and Patrick Kane playing on the same gosh darn team. Maybe not on the same line, but having two of the best American players of all time suiting up alongside of each other, that sounds like a pretty good idea, and honestly, if you're a Florida Panthers fan, already just clawing, hoping that your team is able to get back into the Stanley Cup Finals, then, I mean, look, Patrick Kane, he's got experience, he could help you out in that respect, certainly is somebody that I think would make that job a little bit easier. And then, of course, if you wanted to go over onto the final team, the Detroit Red Wings have been in the mix for a while, mostly because of what we had talked about at the very beginning of the video. Alex DeBrincat is here in Detroit. He was one of the best line mates that Patrick Kane has ever had, and the entire idea that says that Kane would want to come over to Detroit is mostly because Alex DeBrincat is here, and he would like to have that connection rekindled. Okay, the way I said that made it sound a lot more different than I intended, but either way, the Wings, they're not doing all too hot compared to the Florida Panthers and compared to the... Actually, no, not compared to the Sabres. They're doing better than the Sabres, excuse me. But when it comes to the struggles that the Wings have gone through the past little while, they're definitely there. They're evident. It is tough to see this team go out there and just kind of start losing games in the ways that they have been. It's been kind of frustrating as a tertiary Detroit Red Wings fan, seeing how a lot of these guys haven't been producing and how a lot of these guys have been sort of not pulling their weight in a way. And so when it comes to Patrick Kane, obviously he's a great player. He's a guy that could punch at 20, 30 goals a year if everything goes right. And if he's playing with a really good sniper, he could probably get 40 to 45 assists on a season now too. But my question is here, the Red Wings have so many gosh darn forwards already, especially wingers, that my question kind of lies with the lineup. Where exactly does Patrick Kane fit, and who do you take out to put him in? Because there are so many players on this team that rotate in and around the middle of the top six that if you add another one in, it could be complete pandemonium and a little bit difficult to fully work into what else it is that you have going on. Obviously, you'd probably want Kane and DeBrincat together, but does that mean you go DeBrincat, Kane, and Larkin? That is a line of 3 American superstars that actually sounds pretty cool. The young guys, the old guys, and the connection of the past. But of course, that is one idea out of many. What happens with the rest of the lineup? Where do you put the other wingers, and how do you shape everything else up? What happens with Lucas Raymond? Do you just give him second line minutes and say, screw it, you're going to be done? Like, I'm interested in seeing where the Red Wings go, assuming they end up getting Patrick Kane and signing him. But for now, this has been your update in regards to the 3 finalists. The final countdown here for Kane and his services. Elliotte Friedman goes out there and gives us the scoop. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you are a Red Wings, a Sabres, and or a Florida Panthers fan, what are your opinions on the idea of signing Patrick Kane? Do you want this guy? And if you do sign him, what are the implications behind that? Where does he fit in your lineup? Who do you move out? And who does he play with? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about Patrick Kane. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.